Hello everyone, welcome back to An Artist Travel. I'm your girl Nikki. Today we are tier ranking some of the fiction that I have written over the years from about 7 years old up until my 20s. Once I was 7 years old. So we're just gonna see, you know, has it been a solid progression? I've been a little bit obsessed with the tier ranking videos, so I think I will do more than one. I was just watching an author-tuber's video recently and she was like, listen, this is the most self-indulgent video I've ever made. This is just, we're just gonna talk about projects that you guys don't know. And I was like, honey, I'm here for it. I wanna watch this. So I'm doing the same. So if you watch this, thank you. I hope you find it interesting. I've loved watching people talk about their fiction. So am I jumping on the trend? Yes, I am. Am I matching the background? You're welcome. Lego. So the categories we have are fire, NGL. So fire, not gonna lie, I love the story. I think it's fire. I think it's dope still. We have This Promise Yet. So it's a story that I wrote that I'm like, not the best, but with God's help, I can rewrite this and it will be great. There is So Long Farewell, which I thought was a nice category, which basically means, bless you, you tried. And we look back on the story with fondness, but probably not going to continue it. You know, it was fun for the time, but we moved on. You know, that's So Long Farewell. We have Oh No Baby, What Were You Thinking? I thought to make this fun that for some of the stories I would read you an excerpt from it. So let's start with the earliest one, and this is called The Mystery of the ETC. And the reason the ETC is there is because this was part of a children's series that I wrote when I was a child, and it was following the format of the Enid Blyton books. I was obsessed with Enid Blyton when I was a kid. For anyone who didn't read Enid Blyton, she was a very famous children's author, and she was really well known for writing these stories about like these group of children who would just solve mysteries. So there was the famous five, there was the five find-outers in It, five find-outers and a pet dog, and they solved mysteries. There was the Secret Seven. I was obsessed. I read like all these series. I read like all the famous five. I was obsessed. And so I wrote a story. And I have it with me today. I probably wrote this when I was about 7 years old. Once I was 7 years old. I thought I'd just read you the first chapter. It's very short because my chapters were very short at that age. I don't even think this is the full thing. Good 43 pages here. It's not even the full thing. But I wrote several stories. And so when I'm judging, when we're going to be tier ranking this, it's not just this story, it's all the stories in that series. They're all very similar. Okay, so this one was called The Mystery of the Missing Cat. Cats, plural. Chapter 1, Holidays. I'm so happy it's the holidays, sighed Emily. Tell me about it. Holidays is the best word in the English dictionary, said Jack. Jessica laughed. You always find a word and then say it's the best word in the dictionary. Not true, said Jack indignantly. Michael observed quietly. Look at that characterization. It was the summer holidays, and Emily, Jessica, Jack and Michael, or the Fabulous Four as they called themselves, were sitting comfortably in Jess's house. Emily was 10. She was short with black curly hair and a smile that could melt the hardest of hearts. Jack was 8 and the youngest of the four. He was nearly always cheerful and had short brown hair and freckles that parted when he grinned. He was a nice person to be with and was very popular. Michael was 10. He was chatty and mischievous, which often got him in trouble in class, but he was also quite clever. He was the same age as Emily and liked to crack jokes. Last but not least, there was Jessica. She was the oldest, 11, and was full of energy, headstrong and quite chatty. I really love how I just listed through like all their attributes and told you all their ages. Just a whole paragraph just for that. Cool, fine. Hey, said Michael. Do you think we'll have an adventure, these holes? By the way, this is so how they spoke in the famous five. These holes, you know. Father, will we have an adventure, these holes? Don't get your hopes up. We've only had 3 after all, said Jessica. Yes, but it's still quite a lot. I mean, some people haven't ever had an adventure before. True. Suddenly, they were interrupted by Jess's mum coming in and saying, here's your lunch. Now, lunch is the best word in the English dictionary, shouted Jack. Jessica rolled her eyes. See what I mean? Whispered Jess to Michael. That guy just can't make his mind up. Then we have chapter 2, Missing. presumably the cat goes missing in chapter 2. But yeah, that's chapter 1. What a setup. The mystery of the missing cats. It's the holidays. I don't know where they are. Oh no, they were sitting comfortably in Jess's house. I stand corrected. 7-year-old me set that location, okay? So I think, to be honest, look, is it groundbreaking genre fiction? No. Is it fun? Yes. Will I revisit these stories? Probably not. This one's quite easy for me. I think it's very clearly gonna go in our so long farewell category of like, this was really sweet and good and fun for me when I was like 7. But I mean, yeah, it's very simple. We look back on this time with fondness. Very cute, very sweet. Black Rose Butcher was an interesting one. The Black Rose Butcher was a crime novel that I wrote when I was 16 years old. I think I finished it when I was 17. So it took me about a year to write. It was a decent length, and it was a story about this detective called Jeffrey, and his wife had been murdered by a serial killer years and years ago, and you know, obviously it haunted him, and very traumatic and very broody and very like emotional, and like the boss of his own team. Low-key was so inspired by Leroy Jethro Gibbs from NCIS, but also just like basically all the crime novels that I'd read where it was like this broody white single man whose wife had been murdered, and now that's like his entire life is to get vengeance, because of course. But yeah, that's basically what happened in this book. And then like, guys, I really thought I was doing something. So basically in all these books that I read, the serial killer was male, which I was like, why can't I read about some female serial killers? So the plot twist of this entire novel, which is not strong enough to sustain an entire book, was that the serial killer was female. And like, maybe that could have been done in a cool way, but it was not done in a cool way, and I struggled with it throughout the entire writing, trying to like write chapters from the murderer's POV and like not give any like genders away, which it was so bad. Like, it was so bad how I wrote it. And then I also had weird POVs in from like Jeffrey's, like this kid, and then also Jeffrey's POV. It was a lot. It was a lot, but it was an experiment in multiple POVs. I'm gonna see if I can find, I don't know if I have it anymore. I have it somewhere, but I don't know. So in my search for this novel, I actually found that I wrote an entire synopsis for it. I'm just gonna read you a few lines of it, but that's how I wanted to describe the book at the time, so here we go. Special Agent Jeffrey Davidson has long been haunted by his wife's murder. 10 years ago, he lost her to London's most gruesome serial killer, the Black Rose Butcher. And 10 years ago, she was returned, piece by piece, packaged and posted to his door. Soon after, the butcher disappeared, never to be heard of again. Until now. When the body of a young girl turns up beside a charcoal-coloured rose, her wedding finger severed, Jeffrey knows he's inextricably involved, whether he likes it or not. He must play the killer's twisted games in an attempt to save the innocent. And then it goes on. That's quite a good summary. So yeah. Twisted serial killer, leaving black roses as a calling card, etc. Prologue. Time, midnight. Location, the Amazon rainforest. The Amazon. It is home to over 4,000 sea and airborne creatures alone, and over 50,000 species of plant. Here it seems as if even nature is at war, crying out at the great injustice being served. Poisonous plants carpet the ground. The enticingly beautiful yet deadly Digitalis purpurea and Convallaria majalis. Wow. The enticingly beautiful yet deadly Digitalis purpurea and Convallaria majalis scrape bare flesh at every opportunity. Mosquitoes claw and bite, sinking their fangs into vulnerable flesh, drawing blood. Special Agent Jeffrey swatted at the mosquito, smiling as the tiny creature was squashed between his palms and its remains fell to join the general detritus he was treading on. He took a deep breath, but the humid air only provided him with half the oxygen needed. I hope that gives you a little insight into where my storytelling was at the time. As I said, I was 16. It's not bad. The writing itself is like okay. Just the execution wasn't the best. To be honest though, I'm very embarrassed by the fact that the entire plot twist was the fact that she was a woman, and for that reason, it's between So Long Farewell and Oh No Baby, What Were You Thinking? I'm gonna say Oh No Baby, What Were You Thinking? My first novel. This is looking a bit negative so far, isn't it? Like, I promise I love my writing, guys. Let's do Serendipity next. So Serendipity was the piece that I wrote to get into studying my creative writing degree. So you had to send in a sample of your writing, and you had to send in the short story, and I had only ever written longer projects. I mean, okay, fine, yes, as a kid, like, this isn't super long, but in my kid's brain, like, this is a book, this is an entire book, you know? Like, a short story was very different for me. And so I wrote something called Serendipity, which I really liked at the time. There must have been something in it because I got accepted onto the course, and, you know, very grateful for that because I loved my course. Yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, God is good. And here I'm gonna read you part of the story. I'll literally just read a couple of lines because okay. Germany, 1943. There are some things that can't be controlled, some things that are inevitable. Adam Heiser was about to witness such a phenomenon. Adam did not believe in inevitability, and every now and then fate likes to bring such people down a peg or two. It knocks on their door unbidden and forces its way inside. Nothing could have prepared Adam for what was about to happen. Not his childhood, not the various vulgar acts he'd witnessed whilst climbing up the rotting ranks of Nazi Germany, not even the times he'd envisioned this very scene in horror-filled, sweat-soaked nights. His father had taught him that he could gain anything he worked for. Unfortunately, what his father had gained was gangrene, and he had died when Adam was just 10 years old. Adam's mother, Wilhelmina Heiser, was something else. More entity than woman, she prided herself in controlling every aspect of her life. She liked to boast that it was she who had allowed her womb to exercise just one child. More economic, she said, easier to look after. Of course, what she meant was easier to control. And then it goes on. So yeah, so this story, like, I feel like this is one of those stories where I read it and there are so many good usages of metaphors and like similes in the story where I have tried to relate things very specifically to that time period of Germany in 1943, and they're really, really cool ideas, but executed quite poorly because I didn't know how to quite use the metaphors correctly yet, to make them sound smooth. They were like great ideas, great concept, poorly executed, which was funny enough going to be a tier on this thing, but then I thought There's Promise Yet kind of says that. I would not revisit the story, however, because I think it's quite problematic. I think it's a story I wouldn't write. If you read the whole thing, you would understand why. I would never write the story now. And because of that, we're gonna put that in. Oh no, baby, what were you thinking? Oh no, baby, what were you thinking? Oh dear, okay, we need to get some in the higher categories now. Oh, I know what we should talk about next. Let's talk about YA Christian fantasy novel, which does have a title, but I've named it this deliberately because I don't want to give away the title. It's a book that I love. It is the next novel I wrote after Black Rose Butcher, and I didn't write that until I was about 18, 19, when I was in uni, and I finished the entire thing. I love it, and I want to revisit it and work it and edit it, and for that reason we're gonna put this under, you know what, I'm gonna say it's Fire Not Gonna Lie. It's Fire Not Gonna Lie. I'm gonna come back to it and by God's grace edit it, and it's gonna be chef's kiss. Okay, the novella. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know about this novella. I wrote a novella last year during Camp NaNoWriMo. I was working on 3 projects at the time. The novella, if you watch those vlogs, I will link them down below. I struggled with this novella pretty much the entire time, and as I was writing it I knew it was bad, and I've discussed this in my podcast actually, which I'll also link down below. And yeah, it just wasn't very good. It wasn't very good. I think the form was wrong. I think I didn't do enough planning for it. It was also my first attempt at literary fiction. It was just a lot of new things at once, and I didn't do enough outlining for it, and there were so many things that I was trying to do. The story was very complicated because I didn't just pick a simple story, a simple nice little plot. No, very complicated in form, in content, in like literally everything. It did not go well, and for that reason the novella is going in Oh No Baby, What Were You Thinking? Oh no, baby, what were you thinking? Okay. Let's talk Project Missing Daughter. Project Missing Daughter was something I had to write for uni, and again, this was when I was very much enamored by the crime fiction genre. So this is actually a story about a mother who works in law enforcement, and in this story her daughter actually gets kidnapped, and it forces her to work with her boss, to work directly with her boss, the overall boss of the department, who is also her ex-husband and also the father of her child. And so it's kind of, I was very inspired by Karen Slaughter, if anyone's read her books, because I think she does an incredible job of getting you to care so much about the characters' inner lives and also the plot. Like, she did both so well. And so this was my inspiration to really delve into the characters' lives and also into the mystery, the crime element, which I think I did. Ooh, and there is Okoth's Strength, which is a short story I wrote talking about colonialism, and I would like to revisit that and see what can be done with it, because I didn't finish it at the time, but I like the writing. So there's promise. Yeah. Middle grade, I also wrote during uni. It's fire, not gonna lie. Middle grade story, super fun, super easy, just kind of flowed out of me. Love it. And it won an award. Did it win an award? It was shortlisted for an award by a very, well, by two big children's publishing companies. So that was amazing. God, it's very good. I love the story and I want to actually finish it. Vanessa Gipp, oh my gosh, okay. This was again meant to be a series that I wrote when I was really little. I was probably like 7, and it was about this young girl. I've just realized how many stories I wrote about missing people. In this one, her little sister was kidnapped, and I feel like there was something ridiculous, like she followed a plot, like a trail of sand to find her sister. Like, I mean, now that I said that out loud, I'm like, interesting, how would that work? But yeah, this one was a really cute one, and my year 4 teacher used to read this and give me notes, and I would write this after school and take her my little exercise book and be like, I've updated a chapter. It was like a little serial, and I think my plan was to have a whole series of Vanessa Gipp, the child detective. So, you know, so long, farewell. I don't know where that is currently. I'm sure if I read it, like, you know, so long, farewell. It's sweet. The Artist. This is a story I wrote when I was much older. It is published. It's about a twisted artist person. Oh, I'll read you the opening. I was taught that an artist should always take his audience into consideration. You wouldn't paint a picture without considering the snot-nosed spectators in the gallery. You wouldn't write a book and wholly disregard your target demographic, unless, of course, you were an idiot. You wouldn't, for example, direct a children's TV show around the topic of pornography, although I'm convinced the outraged reaction of the parents would truly be worth it. However, I feel this advice to be redundant, for myself anyway. My art form is often hindered, no, ruined, by spectators. My art is infallible, beautiful, when uninterrupted by widening eyes. I am no narcissistic fool, as I'm sure you're already thinking. My art is perfect because perfection itself is an art. And then it continues. So it's basically a deranged criminal who kind of calls what he does art. And yeah, that's what the story is. I'm gonna put it in fire, not gonna lie, because I love it. I love it, I love it, I do. It needs a little bit of editing, but I like it. We have The Exchange. The Exchange I wrote in my first year of uni. Wasn't the best. I'm gonna say, I don't even think I would revisit this now. I'm gonna say, how bad was it? It was basically the concept for a novel squashed into a short story. So we're gonna say, oh no baby, what is you doing? Then we have The Spy with Amnesia story, which I wrote when I was a kid, and it was basically the female Alex Rider story, because I was obsessed with Alex Rider. It's either So Long Farewell or it's There's Promise Yet. I would maybe revisit this. Like, I could revisit this. So I'm gonna say There's Promise Yet. Well, thank you so much if you've sat and watched this entire video. I hope it was interesting to you. I tried to give as much detail as possible. Hey, it was honest, and actually, funny enough, even though I've put the novella here in Oh No Baby, What Were You Thinking, I actually do think there is Promise Yet, and I would just like to completely rewrite it because I love the concept still. It's just that it did not turn out very good, so that's why it's there. But it could easily be here as well, make it a bit more even. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like this video.